Hey students, welcome to episode 33 of the Film Student Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Lazzeroni. My guest this week is Vivi Varon from the Magenta Cohort, and she didn't come alone. She brought along her cohort mate, Jehanne Junguenet, who you may remember from all the way back at episode 3. We talk about how Vivi acquired her editing chops, her approach to developing socially relevant stories, and Jehanne shares the etymology of witches, which is actually kind of fun. Witches. That was for Jan. On with the show.
Everything comes together.
I used to just make videos, comedy videos, and I was like, a school that is teaching exactly what I want to get better at.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Yeah, because you had your Vivi, was it Vivi International Pop Star?
She's an artist.
Pardon me. I knew I was going to get it wrong and I was going to offend you somehow.
It's okay. We got that out of the way. So I had a YouTube channel, and I also did comedy music videos, mostly for my boyfriend and also for his band. And yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so why, how did you find out about the school? I'm kind of curious.
I had taken classes at Second City Hollywood, and
that's right, because you came from California, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. I only did the improv classes. I didn't do the conservatory, but I think I heard through that. And at first, I didn't apply to the program right away.
Yeah.
Because I think I didn't believe in myself enough. And it was like in Chicago, and I'm like, why am I going to go to Chicago if I already live in LA and that's the entertainment capital? But I felt a strong draw to come here. Yeah. And also, like, Harold Ramis, like the fact that the school's named after him was a big draw, because I'd heard a Soul Pancake interview with him once, and with Rainn Wilson, and it was just really inspiring, like kind of like a lot of Buddhist philosophy that really resonated with me. So I was like, well, they named a school after him, and I like Groundhog's Day and Caddyshack. So yeah.
Seemed like the right place. What was your submission stuff? Like, what did you use?
I showed you my submission video.
I know, but I'm asking you on the podcast.
Okay. If you're listening, this is something.
Imagine I know nothing about you, even though we are friends.
Okay. My submission video was like kind of like a visual video portfolio narrated by me. So I sat in front of a green screen and I opened with a sketch. I was about to play a guitar, and then it turns into a whole Broadway number in front of a really bad green screen. I think you've both seen this.
Yeah.
And
Jan just nods.
I'm trying to.
So, yeah.
What do you have to say? Say things. You get to say things.
I've seen it. It's great. There's some great live mannequin footage in there.
Yeah, and it transitions to my background as a live mannequin and as a dancer and choreographer. Because I was like, I need you to understand me fully. I can't just show you one part of me. I'm complicated. Yeah. And I talked a lot and had snippets of my videos and my journey. And I think I ended with like my purpose as a filmmaker, which is like spreading compassion.
Yeah. And then what did you do for your written piece?
I wrote
like the comedic influences.
I wrote an essay on the pile of dirty laundry that I was staring at, trying to think of what to write about, and it turned into this whole philosophical inward journey. Okay. That I made very clear I was dragging the reader along on. And I referenced a girl I was nannying.
So one might say you were airing your dirty laundry.
I was. Jan is the queen of puns.
She is, which is something I've learned since we recorded your episode.
I wish you could see the smug look on her face.
She gets pun face. That's what it is.
When they're good, they're good. When they're bad, they're better.
Yeah.
But back to your dirty laundry.
Yes. Yeah, I learned a lot about myself writing that essay, and I was like, this is my artistic journey every time I make something. And yeah.
Have you always been, because you mentioned you've been doing short films and stuff like that. Like, how did you get into that to begin with?
Okay.
It feels like everybody's journey for that is completely different.
It's been like an on and off thing for a long time, and it actually is coming. If you want to hear the whole story,
Yes.
It's coming full circle with my final project for school, which is about the theme is scouting, and I was a Girl Scout all the way through high school. I'm a lifetime member. Shout out to Girl Scouts.
What is it?
It's three fingers.
3 fingers.
Yeah.
3 fingers. Cookies. Shout out to the cookies. Caramel Delights. We don't say the other name.
The Samoas.
Samoas. I guess they're not. It's not okay.
Thin ones. Oh, it's not?
Samoas, like, they don't want you to use that name anymore.
Oh, I didn't know it changed names. Okay.
I just call them Caramel Delights. I don't know if they changed.
Oh.
This sounds, I like the name. It's more fun to say anyway.
All right. Caramel Delights. Those are my favorites, actually.
You're not a Thin Mints person?
I like Thin Mints. I do.
They're
They're
all
best
good.
cold.
Yeah.
Yes.
Put them in the freezer.
Put 'em in the freezer.
Yeah. But my filmmaking journey kind of started in Girl Scouts, where I failed to achieve my Gold Award, which is like the highest achievement you can get in Girl Scouts. I shot a whole film about body image, and I was going to share it with all the local Girl Scout troops and take it around and like have discussions about it. And so I shot all the footage, like interviews, and I was probably going to get more footage too, but then I got stuck. I didn't know how to, it was like on a camcorder. I think this was early 2000s, and I didn't know how to get it from the camera to my computer.
Oh, okay.
And I just let that like roadblock. Like I just didn't know how to navigate around it. And I think I was a little bit self-sabotaging. So now I carry that wound with me when I edit, because I get really frustrated when I edit now. And it all goes back to that first time, like not being able to do what I wanted. So that was the beginning. I've always had an interest, and I did like little stick figure animations also on our computer. They were very rudimentary. And then I started, I had a collaborator, let's just say it, he was my ex, and we...
Let's just say.
Let's just say.
That was a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And he wanted to be an actor, and so I learned finally how to edit, and he would...
I was going to say, because you've got some editing chops. Like, I've seen the stuff that you put together. You do
it.
You do special effects, and you've got graphics and things like that. And I mean, that's
pacing, timing.
Yeah, you came in with a good editing background, which is not the same for everybody.
Thank you, guys. Coming from both of you guys, I'm honored. Not that you complimented me, but I'm assuming you're on board with him too.
I am on board with your skills as an editor.
Thank you.
You make the cut.
If you guys don't know, whoever's listening, these two guys are, Jan and Tony, are really great editors.
Thank you, Vivi.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Much appreciated. But yeah, so you came in with that background. So all right, so why you picked up editing? Just kind of forced into it, or my wanting to, I believed in him so much when I was like really trying to learn how to believe in myself. Yeah. And that's been the actual journey. The subtext self journey.
Yeah.
Throughout all this.
Yeah. And I picked it up. Like the technical part was a little difficult, but my timing has always been very natural. I've always been like just natural at that. Which
I find is the thing that you can't teach, especially when it comes to comedy. Like I can tell somebody, here's how you can make a cut or an L cut, J cut, anything like that. But I can't necessarily convey to them like you should use this one here or you should use this one here or wait 3 more frames and then do it. Like that's just something you gotta have a feel for.
An intuition.
Yeah.
And I think
intuition.
Yeah. Your story, you understand your stories, so you understand how they should come together in the edit very well. So,
and it's also like an improvisational jazz type thing where the edits that you do leading up to an edit influence how that edit should be done too. Because if you've been pacing it quickly and then you do a slow one, that has that pulls that out and makes it more focused for people. So like you have to be thinking about the whole thing. Like that's why you can go back and reiterate over and over and be editing just constantly until it's all uniform and feels together.
It's like the hardest part. You could keep editing forever.
It's an art form.
Just keep making
itself.
new movies of the same thing. Never finish.
That no one ever sees.
Yeah. It's definitely like for me, it's finding what's just feels natural and super funny. Yeah.
And so, what's your goal in the long run with this?
I've been learning that I came in here thinking I'm a director, which I still believe I am. But I've picked up a lot of writing, and that I think I've always been a writer. I've just never written it down, but I've always told stories. Like I did choreography, and I made up stories and told it through dance, and then I've always had stories, and I've worked with improvisers, and I've held the camera and asked improvisers to be like, this is your character and this is the scene, and then let them go along with it. So like a collaborative writing on the go thing. So, but I like sitting down and writing, and actually for me going inward and exploring what I'm going through at the moment, and then translating it into a story that I can share with people.
I feel like that's something you've had a good feel for too, is just coming up with a theme for whatever, because we're literally in Kat's class today. Kat O'Brien, we were talking about, going through with your final written project and looking for themes and looking for, character perspectives and how to kind of make a pass on an edit of something. And I was just thinking back, because she was like, go ahead and write down what the theme of yours is. And I had to think really hard. And I'm like, I've never talked to Vivi where she didn't lead with telling me what her theme was on the thing. It's about this. And here's exactly what's happening.
And I definitely think you're a writer. I would just more specifically use the term storyteller. You always, you very strongly understand the journey you want your characters to go on, and the growth that they're going to go through, and how that impacts all the aspects of their story. So they know, if they're going to go to one situation, you very clearly know how they would react in that situation. And then there's a message that you want people to take from your work. I
definitely want to heal the world.
Well, and there's the old adage too of like you're gonna better place. You're gonna write it, and I've actually heard it now from all three perspectives. Like you're gonna write something 3 times, or you're gonna edit something 3 times, or you're gonna direct it 3 times. It's in the writing, in the shooting, and in the editing, and so the fact that you're already you came in here doing 2 of those, directing and editing, it's like writing is just, it's the one that you just didn't have the practice necessarily with, but you're already, like Jan saying, a storyteller. Because that's kind of what I had to figure out for myself too. Like I've been editing and directing, but I hadn't been really writing. It's just literally taking the other 2 and putting it into like I'm better at writing than I thought I was. I thought I sucked.
I think we were at a bar once, and you were telling me like I think you were thinking of what your final script was going to be, like all the way in session 1. And I remember the story seemed very well rounded,
and it's the same story.
The road trip one, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but
the pact. It's
is that your feature? Is that your feature that you're writing, not the short? Okay.
That's the feature. The short is the short's different. The short I'm still going through the writing process on, so I'm kind of
don't worry, I've had 3 by this point. And that's in the last 2 weeks.
You've what?
I've had 3 different ideas. Oh, really? And in the last 2 weeks.
Have you written anything for it yet?
Oh no, I have 3 things written, but which one I'm going to choose is like, I don't know. So
I'm sad you're not doing the witches one.
That's going to be my that's my cat class one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm happy again.
What is the witches one?
So it's witches that come back and want to reclaim beer, because that's kind of the history of witches.
Okay.
Those alewives, they made beer, and then they were the predominant people women were predominantly the people that brewed beer, and their outfits signaled, oh, I'm a alewife, come buy beer from me.
And the cats too. The cats were like to scare the rats away or something.
And then I've read that when the guilds and like the church started to take more power, they wanted to take the production of beer. So they started calling them, like angling them as witches, and then they took it from them. So it's like these witches come back, and there's a whole. I'm figuring out the story still. It's like shifting a little bit, but it's kind of, I really like that idea.
Yeah. That's really cool. All that makes sense. The cat, and probably the broom. There's all that connects together.
The cauldron. The cauldron is where they
would brew it. That's crazy.
It's a cool.
So there's like actual witches, and then this is the portrayal of witches that people created.
So it's interesting because you're kind of leaning into the misbelief
Yeah.
as if it were truth.
Mm-hmm. Like they just still are witches and can do magic, but the idea is that they are reclaiming kind of production of beer in this one brewery where this woman, I'm shifting the story and figuring out how it is, but this one woman is her father's brewery she's been passed over for ownership, and so kind of they all work together to try to get this brewery back in her hands. Yeah.
This sounds fun.
We'll see.
Well, and what's the Girl Scout one that you were talking about? Because you tagged it and that didn't actually say what it was.
So it's a former Girl Scout. She has to use all her very specific camping and leadership skills to help her boyfriend find his keys, which he lost. And it's it's inspired by a time that I actually helped Todd, my boyfriend, find his keys.
Todd Resume.
Yeah.
Go ahead and tag him around right now. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I helped him find his keys, and I was really satisfied after helping him. And I was like, why did I get so much pleasure out of helping him find his keys? And after looking inward, I realized he's been very supportive of me while I'm in school right now. So I felt like I wasn't being as helpful in the relationship, and I was like, this is my moment that I can actually be helpful, and it's just very exaggerated in my final film.
Yeah. Did you what teacher was having the bucket conversation with us? I can't remember who it was. I want to say, I don't think it was Kat. Maybe it was Kat. Yeah. This idea that it was Kat, because she was talking about it because it's her kids. She has to, they have homework as parents for the little kids, and they're being taught this idea of you want to be able to fill your bucket, and when somebody yells at you or you get in trouble for something like that, it's you spilled everything that was in your bucket, but it's just this idea of positivity of things kind of being refilled. It's you want to refill your bucket, you want to. I'm taking philosophies for preschool and applying them to life.
That's where we can learn it.
I love that renewal.
Yeah,
keep your cup full.
Ask Kat about it. I'm sure she can explain buckets better than I can. But but yeah, no, it's just funny because you just want to refill your bucket because you feel like you've emptied it out by not necessarily contributing as much as you could have.
Yeah,
or you weren't necessarily able to, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was showing me my insecurities and where I could show compassion to myself, because it's also, again, a matter of believing in myself. So he's believing in me right now. And I'm kind of feeling the pressure. Wow, I'm being vulnerable on this podcast.
Thank you for being vulnerable.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I meant that. I said that insincerely. I didn't mean it the way it sounded. Thank you.
But yeah, it
didn't sound bad, Jen.
She's putting her hands up
I'm visually being
guilty.
Vulnerable. Anyway, back to your vulnerability.
I don't remember.
You're talking about buckets and filling up.
Oh yeah.
You and Todd.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so your film is just a fictionalization of that exact incident, helping find keys, or what? Or did you blow it up bigger? She's very extreme in helping him, and she's forcing her help on him. In real life, he was like, "Can you help me find my keys?" And I was like, "Yes, I can help you." But in the movie, she's like, "I'm helping you find your keys," and it ends up being a whole wilderness adventure. And she purposely locked her keys in the house so that they'd have to find them. So I'm still figuring out if that makes sense, but yeah, raising the stakes. Interesting.
Yeah.
And
and there's also a squirrel, a squirrel in it.
Wait, what?
Yeah. There's a squirrel that is a vengeful squirrel so the guy character is an Eagle Scout, and there was a squirrel that was rejected from his troop.
Okay.
It's more of a feminist commentary, and I guess they'll just have to see the movie.
That's going back to that theme, what your theme is going into it, and I think that serves you well because you're going to be able to make sure that's at the forefront of the overall piece.
Yeah.
Like it's going to sell it that much harder.
Yeah, I hope so.
What was the theme of the ducks one? Because the ducks one is just
That one is
fascinating to me.
That one is showing how.
This is for your. You explain what it is.
Oh, okay. So I made a documentary or a duck documentary, if you will.
Jan will.
Yeah. I
Jan
always will.
DP'd it.
I'm quacking up.
Oh my god. That one is about, well, first of all, it's just silly and nonsense. But if you look more deeply at it, it's showing how we can dehumanize people who are different from us. And I illustrated that by humanizing ducks. But like treating them like a subject of study. And it's like, yeah. I don't know. If you watch the movie, maybe you'll get that. I think mostly it's just really silly.
Well, you need to send me the link to it so I can put it up on the website.
Yeah.
So
it's definitely funny, and if you get to that extra underlayer, it's even better.
I enjoyed the documentary. I thought that was great.
Also starring the amazing Todd.
Also, yes.
Which many of your... Have you done a video that he's not in as of yet?
He hasn't starred in all of them, but the awkward musical he wasn't in.
He wasn't in, but he did the music for it.
No, that was Graham.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Graham composed it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know Graham was a composer.
He is.
I need to get Graham on. I haven't had Graham on yet either.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you guys will have fun conversations. He's awesome.
Graham in person is a trip. Graham Anderson. He will be on eventually. We tried to set it up. His is one that we haven't been able to get scheduled. But eventually, one day.
There's a really funny video somewhere that Murphy made, where Graham is wearing like a party hat and dragging along a balloon, and he's just really creepy and funny. If
it's like two friends. I think the premise is two friends are having an intervention for their friend who's too happy all the time. It's too positive. And then throughout the intervention, he just kind of goes off the rails they're like, yo, here, try being mean. And as he tries to be mean, he just goes berserk and is really maniacally, I should say.
He like tears them down.
Positive and or mean, and then ends up like tearing them down in a really absurd way.
See, I feel like, and this is the weird part about having the two separate cohorts, like, we came in at the same time, but I feel like I know very little of like what your classes have been producing. So I have not seen a single thing that Murphy's made. I've seen part of one thing that Mike made. I don't know that I've seen anything from Dan.
Yeah, I think we all just, you end up in your like, we get to a fine cut, but not the final cut where you might share it. So it does, I think between the two cohorts, it kind of gets stuck in somewhere in that middle areas because we don't see it. Yeah. Right. It would be cool to see some more cyan things.
I feel like I've seen a lot of your stuff.
My stuff?
You post a lot.
I post a lot of mine, but that's that's not true of everybody. There's a lot of people that don't put up the things that they make. They just
still works in progress. I think that's why people put them up.
In a lot of cases, and I think some people want to submit them for festivals and stuff like that. You and I went for that festival talk the other day, and she was talking about premiere status. Like, so many festivals are obsessed with being the one to premiere a film.
I just took one off
geographic area.
I had the Jannikin on, which is a documentary, that same project as the documentary I made about Mannequin, and I just took it off to like private because I didn't want too many people seeing it if I ever wanted to do it for festivals.
My nonfiction was up on a website or wasn't a website. It was I got contacted by a producer that wanted to, quote, not option it, but basically like get non-exclusive rights for distribution for it. But it was only like a equity, so no money up front. It was only if like the thing took off. And apparently Jivewire, the thing that it was supposed to be on, went under already.
Oh no!
Is this the tattoo one?
Yeah.
Does that person have rights still? Or does that null and void? Oh, non-exclusive. Okay.
Yeah. So and I made sure beforehand. I'm like, this doesn't restrict me from doing anything else with it.
That's pretty
cool. And so it keeps me out of maybe some festivals, but I'd already posted it online.
What were they going to use it for?
Well, they put it up. It's on there. It was on their app on Apple TV. You could go download it, and it was like streaming service. It was meant to be like another Netflix or something like that.
Cool.
But it was mostly like short content. So they They had a lot of shows on there that were like diners, drive-ins, and dives, but made by like, you know, the guy down the road and his cousin. Like
Steve Fieri, Guy Fieri's cousin.
Yeah.
Oh.
But so what's so in like what do you want to create coming out of this? Like what's your
Well, I'm working on the feature screenplay for Cat's class.
Mm-hmm. What's that one about?
If you
I just got an eye flicker that said, "Oh, I don't want to go into this."
I'm figuring it out.
Yeah.
But a girl gets a superpower,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the ability to see love.
This is very Vivi.
Yeah, if you want to know what
Vivi.
on-brand Vivi is, this film is it.
I see love in the world. Yes, and she's trying to heal the world, but she realizes that she just needs to heal within.
Okay.
Well, that's the goal.
Yeah.
I want to make stuff that gets people thinking and then hopefully connecting with their inner selves.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly comedy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten to the point with Lynn where you're talking about like where you would want to work or who you'd want to work for?
I put Soul Pancake
Mm-hmm.
as is just the first thing that came to mind, but they don't really have that much fiction stuff.
Right.
And I like to do like narrative.
You should look into Participant Media.
What's that?
Every film that they do, they have a social project that's paired to go along with it.
Oh.
And they've done a ton of stuff. Like they did Lincoln, and they did Inconvenient Truth, and they did Food Inc. I think was one of theirs too.
Yeah.
Like, so there's some documentary, but there's also some narrative stuff. And it's just interesting that they purposefully like won't do a film without having some sort of social project to go alongside of it.
That's cool.
So
yeah, like I don't know, my stuff. It always feels a little bit weird. Like it's hard to figure out where it would fit. Like woman spreading is just you're in it.
Yeah, that I was in.
You're both in it. It's just a little.
I was the man spreader and woman spreader.
Yeah, yeah. It's just a little weird. It was like approaching it like from a healing. Let's heal within perspective and feel okay taking up space in the world. So, but I don't know where that would fit. Other than like if I had my own website and a blog and my own channel, and it's like if this resonates with you, subscribe.
Which you can easily do, and then that's also not to say that maybe you're ahead of the curve on the next big thing on that pops up there, and so somebody that's building something like that already sees your stuff, and then you assimilate into that.
I'm sure there's there's got to be festivals out there with kind of mission statements that are similar to what you're trying to put out there with that kind of work. And then from there you can meet people who are doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
I like your guys' hopeful perspective.
Yeah.
If you don't,
our buckets are half full.
If you don't have hope, you're already dying.
True.
Oh.
What are you guys planning on doing?
Yeah.
Back to you, Vivi. No, I'm not sure. I think I think I'm going to stay in Chicago and try to figure out, try a little more performing, but then just keep writing and see where that goes. And just see if there's a lot of web series happening here. So there's a lot of opportunities to get in and work on smaller projects and try to continue to find the place that fits the best. I mean, I know
you can still get into the big series too. I mean, the Shy and all the Chicago Med PD, everything there.
Yeah. I think I'll probably stay around Chicago and see what happens next year.
Come to LA.
Are you going back to LA?
That's the plan.
Yeah.
I'm falling in love with Chicago.
There was a semi-eye roll to go along with that.
Don't you like having seasons?
I do. I'm deciding.
You mean there's really 2 seasons, winter and not. So.
And rain.
But the not's really good.
Yeah.
You get it.
I like the winter too. I've never lived in snow before, so.
Yeah, that boggles my mind. My cousins live in Florida, and they had. I still don't know if one of them has seen snow in person.
That's wild.
And that's just weird to me because I'm like, I grew up in Minnesota. Like it's a part of life.
Oh yeah, Minnesota. I've heard. Yeah. Every day during the snow, I didn't want to go out in the cold, but once I was out, I was like, wow, it's a winter wonderland.
I mean,
This
between
is
you and
great.
Will, coming from warm weather climates, your large coats,
Yeah.
it's like sleeping bags rolling around.
Are you making fun of
No,
me?
it's just you always look so much more bundled than I should. I should prepare better.
It's that I have seen Vivi before and had a brief image of Maggie Simpson with the star
yeah.
outfit, like
Yeah.
just bundled up to the point where you barely can move.
Yeah.
The kid from Christmas Story.
I didn't have
Yeah,
the right
yeah.
gloves, so I was layering my gloves, which wasn't that helpful. And I couldn't bend my fingers.
At what point do they just become mittens? Because
Yeah.
you don't have any control over your
You
fingers.
just became a winter mannequin.
It just cut off the circulation,
Oh.
and so it was counterintuitive, it seemed. So I just would keep my hands in my pockets. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so in kind of wrapping up, so if people wanted to track you down on social media and see some of the stuff you're working on, or I know you post a lot of photos and stuff like that too, don't you?
I do. On Instagram.
Yeah.
I'm most active on Instagram. I used to have a website, but I'm rebranding.
Yeah.
So
As we're being told to do.
yeah. But Instagram, it's dance Vivi dance, dance then Vivi spelled Vivi dance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's it. And I there's like links to my videos in my profile.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thank you all for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for
Tony.
having us.
Good job, Vivi.
Thank you. Good job, Dan.
That was our high five.
High five.
Nice work. That was Vivi Varon. Thank you to both Vivi and Jehanne, and to the Harold Ramis Film School and the Second City staff for their help. The song on this week's episode was Baby Blue by Derek Evry. Check out more of his great music at derekevry.com. That's DerekEvry. This show is recorded and edited by me, Tony Lazzeroni. If you want to hear more from me and my classmates, teachers, and a few special guests, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you have questions or comments, send us an email at filmstudentpod@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at filmstudentpod. And be sure to check out some of my and my classmates' work at filmstudentpod.com. See you all next week. Class dismissed!